So we have to do 12th prakarana, 12th section. Kaya kritya saha purvam tato vag vistara saham atha chinta sahas tasmat evame vahamasthitah. So, a student of Vedanta who is more interested in understanding his existence as pure being is not interested in the details, but he uses the details to understand the stillness or the peacefulness or the unlimitedness or the easiness, the presence of the being. And such a person would not be interested in other things. He wouldn't show interest. In fact, he would feel even uncomfortable with distractions. A person who is deep into the topic, he would find it uncomfortable to have even any distractions are not a pleasure for him. Distractions from the topic are a kind of a discomfort for him. Even household life becomes a kind of a discomfort. Once a person becomes deep into, he goes into the topic, then every karma is a discomfort. Every responsibility is a discomfort. Every action to be done is a discomfort. And then he may make a compromise, chalo, kar lenge, loka sangha, etc. But the first choice, given a choice, he would just be with the seeing, he would just be seeing the peaceful nature of his being. Therefore, it's not very comforting for a student of Vedanta to have this responsibility, that responsibility, this duty, that duty. For a student of Vedanta, all responsibilities, all duties are just only kind of a compromise. कोई बात नहीं, चलो. जैसे मजबूरी होता है ना, is a मजबूरी for him. What to do, करना है. But otherwise, given a choice, can you make it less? Given a choice, he wouldn't like to. No, this fan. Okay, thank you. Given a choice, he would like to have none of the duties, none of the responsibilities, none of the interactions, none of the outings, none of any vyavahara. In fact, he would be very uncomfortable with any vyavahara. Because it's like a man who is feeling sleepy. You give him anything to do, it will make him very, very uncomfortable. Because that will pull him out of the serenity of his reflection. That is being echoed here. Karma yoga is a kind of, it's not a virtue, great virtue. If a man is not yet ready, all right, make yourself ready. All right, if you are restless, all right, do. If you have to do, get occupied with some karma. If you have to do karma, then do it as a karma yoga. You don't have to practice virtues, you don't have to practice values, you don't have to practice all these things. In fact, that kind of time you can spend looking at yourself. That's why It's like instead of supposing you are not able to see an object, instead of closing your eyes and then trying to what it is all, you better open your eyes. With that one stroke of opening eyes, your problem is solved. Similarly, the very one opening of one's attention to one's existence, one's being, because the subject can never be, is never spatially located. Therefore, it cannot be mobile. Just as space is not spatially located. That's why the space also is not mobile. To be subject to be mobile is kartrutvam. Even when you are sitting quiet, but then you have not yet understood the being nature of your being, the silent nature of your being, the presence of your being, and in ignorance, even if you sit quiet, sit tight, it is still kartrutvam. You are using the will. Behind every life you see a will, whereas a jnani, a jignasu sees behind the whole, even behind the will is the presence of his being. And therefore, a student of Vedanta doesn't encourage vyavahara, responsibilities, duties. Even dharma makes him feel uncomfortable. Even good deeds make you feel uncomfortable. Bad deeds, of course, make you feel uncomfortable. Any kartrutva makes you feel uncomfortable. That is why that is said here. Kaya kritya sah purvam. Purvam, to begin with, a student of Vedanta is very uncomfortable with physical activity. I am very happy with it. He is all echoing my thinking. Because physical activity, a student of Vedanta, he doesn't like any physical restlessness, physical activity. And Purvam, to begin with, he is intolerant, means uncomfortable with. He is uncomfortable with physical activity. Tataha, thereafter, slowly, Vag Vistarasa, is not interested in talking idhar udhar ki baat. Vag Vistara means Vani Vistara, to be elaborate in talking about some empirical things. Even if somebody asks you, why don't you tell me what is the story of Ramayana? He will simply say, there was a person called Rama, he lost his wife and somebody kidnapped her, and then he went and managed to kill him and he brought her back. That is all Ramayana about. A Vedanti would narrate this story like this. Why? Because to be elaborate, he doesn't indulge in empirical interactions. If a person by birth has the swabhava not to indulge in empirical interactions, I would say it is a spiritual sanskara. Or at least it is useful for Vedanta. A trait of disinterestedness in interactions, a trait of disinterestedness in interactions is useful in studying Vedanta. Yes. Therefore, even introvertedness by itself is nothing but introvertedness. If a man is introverted by birth, he is more interested in being with himself rather than talking to this person, talking to that person, going here, there. He is not interested in interactions and transactions. If he studies Vedanta, it will be useful. His trait will help him. It's a trait that is helpful. Trait by itself is not the answer. but trait, non-interactive trait, non-transactive trait, non-interactive trait, non-transactive trait is useful in studying Vedanta. Extrovertedness in any case is not a virtue. Extrovertedness is definitely not a virtue. It definitely doesn't help you in studying Vedanta, because even if you study Vedanta, you will still be extroverted with Vedanta. You start selling Vedanta. Vedanta gets mixed up with your extrovertedness. Instead of you are becoming a part of Vedanta, Vedanta would become a part of you. Therefore, and if a person becomes a student of Vedanta, to begin with, he is not interested in any physical activity, number one. Tato vag vistara asaha. Sahan nahi kar sakta. He is not tolerant of talking for a long time about the empirical things. Indulgence in speech, redundant speech, sitting and talking to a person over nothing. जिसको कहते हैं गप्पा लगाना, it all means nothing. It doesn't relax you, it only creates tensions. Every relaxation has a thorn in it, understand? The only relaxation that without creating tension is looking at yourself relaxes you without disturbing yourself. Coffee relaxes you. One more cup creates a tension. Every pleasure in moderation may be good, but there is no such thing looking at oneself in moderation is good. Aisa kuch nahi. You have to look at yourself until you understand properly. More the merrier. Therefore, atha chinta asaha. A student of Vedanta is not only intolerant of his own physical activity, he doesn't like his physical activity, he doesn't like his responsibility to be physically active, he doesn't like the responsibility to be talking to various people, go to parties and talk to them. And when you go to parties, really you have to talk to them, unnecessary things. For them they may be relevant, for them they may be very useful, but otherwise they are irrelevant. And he is intolerant of physical activity, intolerant of work activity, and he is intolerant of mental activity, thinking, memories, remembering this, thinking about this, thinking. He doesn't like worrying about anything. He doesn't like thinking about any objects as objects. His attention is most comfortable to look at his own existence. A wave feels most comfortable looking at itself as water. A wave doesn't feel comfortable drifting there, drifting here, drifting all over. It doesn't like. It doesn't like talking to other waves also. It doesn't like worrying about anything. Anything other than Vedanta makes him uncomfortable. That is the lakshanam of a Vedanta Vidyarthi. A student of Vedanta, the lakshanam, the highlight of a Vedanti is anything other than Vedanta makes him feel uncomfortable. And if you have to do something, majburi hai, then that understand it as a compromise. Just koi baat nahi ji. It's a kind of a condescension. You condescend means you accept it. Theek hai. Given a choice, I won't have it, but now I have to have it. Given a choice, I don't want any responsibility. I am comfortable with any duty, any responsibility, any worry, any anxiety. I am comfortable looking at myself only as the truth. This is what is called karma sannyasa, really. A person does karma sannyasa, a person takes karma sannyasa. A person takes karma sannyasa so that really he can be physically, he has no physical responsibilities, oral responsibilities, he has no emotional responsibilities. Freedom from responsibility is a great advantage to look at oneself as the truth. Freedom from responsibility. But once you have responsibility, you have to give your attention to it. You lose time. You lose time. But a real jignasu is one for whom any responsibility is a pain on the neck. Therefore, he doesn't indulge in duties and responsibilities and this and that. If there is a duty, if he is a grihastha, he does his duty in order not to think of it. That is the only reason. You do your duty so that you don't have to worry about it. You have your little food so that you don't worry about it. In order to be free from something, he does it. But given a choice, I won't have any duties, any responsibilities, anything. Atha chinta asaha tasmat, therefore, evameva aham astitah. And therefore, I remain myself. Aham evameva astitah. Evameva means as I am. I stand as I am. I am not interested in physical duties. I am not interested in oral duties. I am not interested in mental duties. And I look at them as a discomfort. I just remain myself. When I am not interested in doing anything, then I remain myself, just being. The choice is only between doing and not doing, and being. Doing is an error, being is the truth. I don't choose between the two. I say, yes, I have to understand choicelessly that my kartrutvam is an error. My existence is the truth. To be doing is kartrutvam. Any willing is kartrutvam. Feeling is kartrutvam. Doing is kartrutvam. Or whatever I do, you may give any name to it, but whatever I do is kartrutvam. Doing is kartrutvam. And being. In being, there is only shanti. Clear? Pritya bhavena shabdadehe adrishyattvena chatmanah vikshepaikagrahridayah evamevahamaastitah. Priti abhavena, due to lack of interest. I have no interest. Shabdadehe, I have no interest in shabda, sparsha, rasa, rupa, rasa, gandha. In these 5 perceptions, in these 5 sense objects, I am not interested. I have no priti for them because they are shells. They are just shells. The one who accumulates these shells and he thinks wealthy about himself, is okay, it's his temperament, is murkha. But a shell is a shell, whether it is 1 or a billion. A billion shells also are still shells. A billion pebbles are still pebbles. In fact, you can only accumulate shells. You can only know the truth. Truth is accessible for everyone to know. Everybody can know the truth, including a cow, if it has the dimag. Sadeva somidam agrasvidekame vadvitiyam. Tat Satyam Sa Atma Tattvamasi, it can understand. If it has a few more cells in the brain, just to look at itself. Intelligence becomes complete when you can look at yourself. Because you don't need intelligence for doing anything beyond looking at one's existence. Intelligence is complete if it is adequate to understand the truth. Intelligence is adequate if it is adequate enough. Intelligence is enough if it is adequate enough to understand the truth. And there can't be, you can have greater and greater empirical intelligence. You can be a genius in empirical matters. You don't have to be a genius to know the truth. You don't have to be a genius. I don't think so. You can be just an ordinary person with right common sense and understanding. Therefore, Pritya Bhavena, I have no interest in these objects. Shabdadehe, because they're all shells. So I don't objectify them because I have no interest in them. My attention doesn't run to the objects as objects. My attention doesn't run to the objects with an interest to enjoy them. My attention doesn't run to the objects with a desire to indulge in them, enjoy them, to see and enjoy, to hear and enjoy, to taste and enjoy, to touch and enjoy, to smell and enjoy. My perception is free from desire. I perceive the objects not for enjoying them. Priti abhavena shabdadehe, and therefore I don't take interest in objectifying the objects. Adrishyattvena cha atmana, and the self cannot be objectified. The self cannot be objectified. I'm not interested, it doesn't interest me to objectify the world. Vikshepa ekagra hridayaha. And it is not possible for me to have vikshepa. Vikshepat ekagra hridayaha. I have ekagrata away from the vikshepa. Vikshepat ekagra hridayaha. Vikshep se rahit, vikshepa rahitaha. Free from vikshepa, I have ekagrata. Concentrate. It is a choiceless concentration. It's like saying, I am unbrokenly conscious. What an ekagra concentration. It's not a concentration that you do. It is not possible that your conscious identity can ever be broken. You don't sustain your conscious identity. Conscious identity, whether you like it or not, it remains. It's a choiceless ekagrata. Like the wave's identity as water, its watery identity remains unbroken. That's called natural ekagrata. The wave doesn't have to sustain its watery identity. A jiva doesn't have to sustain his conscious identity. If you are rich, you have to sustain your rich identity. And any identity that you need to sustain is going to be lost one day because it tires you. To stay rich tires you. To stay on top tires you. To stay comfortable tires you. Even comfort needs to be sustained. Riches need to be sustained. Even relationships need to be sustained. And you are tired. The other person is unreceptive to common sense. and you have to compromise all kinds of things. You have to go through unnecessary worries, unnecessary discomforts to sustain that relation. Anything that needs to be sustained will be gone. Either it is gone during lifetime or it is gone at the end of lifetime. A few years this side, that side, kya farak padta hai? I mean, if you look at them very, very closely, गौर से अगर देखेंगे, anything that you need to sustain cannot be sustained. It will go. Only truth need not be sustained. Even the body needs to be sustained. Even the equation with the body needs to be sustained. But conscious identity need not be sustained. Truth need not be sustained. Thinking needs to be sustained. If you are a good singer, then your throat needs to be sustained. Your vocal cords need to be sustained. And what you need to sustain will simply break you down in life. It can be torturous. To stay rich can be very torturous. That's why a poor man is more smiley, more happy, because he has nothing to sustain. Poverty need not be sustained, it is there anyway. To the extent you have nothing to sustain, to that extent you are comfortable. There is no strain. Therefore, here Vikshepa Ekagra Hridayaha means natural concentration. What is the natural concentration? One's own identity as the truth. Always understanding that my nature is choicelessly the being. Kartrutvam also needs to be sustained. It can go when the knowledge takes place. I have to continue to remain ignorant to be a karta. But once I get enlightened, even kartrutvam is gone. Even error cannot be sustained. Error also can go away in the right knowledge. Sansara also needs to be sustained. I have to remain ignorant as a condition. I should remain stupid in order to sustain samsara. And it's not easy to sustain one's stupidity, because once in a while we do start thinking correctly. Therefore, even samsara cannot be sustained. Nothing can be sustained in this world except the truth. Why? Because truth need not be sustained. Vikshepa ekagra hridayaha. And therefore, with that knowledge, evameva aham astitaha, I remain myself. I remain myself because I have no interest in objectifying the objects. I can't objectify, I can't do the objectification of the truth. I am not interested in doing the objectification of the objects. I can't do the objectification of the self. So, subject I can't objectify, object doesn't interest me to objectify. And I understand that very freedom from both is not to be sustained, because it is vikshepa, ekagra hridayaha. I am translating it to mean it is choicelessly the absence of objectivity. Absence of objectification means the presence of the truth. Choicelessly. The absence of the wave means the presence of the truth. The presence of the wave also means the presence of the truth. Choicelessly, the presence of the wave is presence of water. Absence of the wave also is the presence of water. In the same manner, when there is something, when I objectify the world, it means only the presence of the subject. When I don't objectify also, it is the presence of the subject. The presence of the subject is choiceless. To understand that is called ekagrata. Concentration is in the form of understanding that my existence, it ever the same. It is choicelessly so. It is choicelessly so. It's like, I am trying to explain to you what is really concentration. Concentration is not done. Concentration means the body has to change. That it changes is a knowledge that I don't have to sustain. Is there. The body has to change. I don't have to work to sustain that fact. The changing nature of the body is a fact. I don't have to sustain. That's called concentration. Where I have to do nothing to sustain, that is called concentration. And he uses the term vikshepa ekagra hridayaha. Swabhava ekagra hridayaha. Swabhava ekagra hridayaha means natural. Evam eva aham astitah. I can't objectify the truth. I am not interested in objectifying the objects. And when there is freedom from objectification, what is there is the presence of myself, and I stay that. Samabhyasadi vikshiptau vyavahara samadhaye evam vilokya niyamam evamevahamaastitah. Very, very beautiful verse, worth memorizing. For any brilliant person understands, whenever you do something, all doings are associated with certain law. If you gain something, you lose it. That is the niyama. If you gain something, you lose. If you get sukham, it will be followed by dukkham. That is the niyati. That's why in the south, if somebody laughs too much, they say, don't laugh too much, he will cry. They say, it is a niyati. Who knows? If you laugh less, maybe you will cry less, manageable. Supposing you laugh too much and then afterwards you cry too much, then it will be unmanageable. So laugh in moderation and cry also in moderation. There is a niyati ji. What is kritakam tad anityam? That is a simple. What is achieved is non-eternal. That is the niyati. If you control the mind, it will again get dissipated. That is the niyati. If you control yourself, you will lose control over yourself again. It's niyati. Jo karte hain, you clean the house, it will collect dust again. It's a niyati. You eat food, you appease your hunger, you will feel hungry again. That's why every year, what is a year? The same day, repeated again and again and again. This is also something striking. We look at a year in terms of a big length. It's nothing. It is just a repetition of the same day, same program. You repeat the morning 365 times. You repeat the day 365 times. You repeat the night 360. It's a repetition of the same thing, not something else. Pleasures are repeated, pains are repeated, distractions are repeated, anxieties are repeated. It's all repetition. Now here is a verse which talks very beautifully that, sir, whatever you do, it will be undone. This is the niyati. And Ashtavakra says, I understand this niyati. Therefore I don't do anything. I just stay as I am. I don't do anything to reach the truth. Truth is not available for doing and reaching. Truth, one is already the truth. 10th man is already the 10th man. He doesn't have to do and reach the 10th man. He has to recognize his presence. Samabhyasa means right practices. People say there are right practices. Day and night practices. Abhyasadi. Vikshipta. And all these practices will be followed by distractions. Samabhyasadi vikshiptau. When all the practices end up in distractions. And distractions again end up in your will to practice something, concentration. This is the niyati ji. Concentrations are followed by distractions. Distractions are followed by again the decision to concentration. These mental exercises continue. This is the niyati. Samabhyasadi vikshiptau vyavaharaha samadhaye. You have to again do something to control the vikshepa. You first practice, ends up in vikshepa, and again you practice to control it. There is a vyavahara done for again composure. You do something, you make an effort to compose, and the composure gets broken, and again you do something. That is called vyavahara. First you do abhyasa, and abhyasa gives you some composure, and in time it will be broken, because any composure that is brought about will be gone. Is it pakka, Swamiji? Yes, it is pakka. Take it from me. Anything that you achieve shall go. Anything that you achieve shall go. Either it goes during lifetime or it goes with life. Nothing great. Temporariness is not it's not a long years temporariness. It is so temporary, so temporary, so temporary. Even before you recover what you are doing, you are gone. Most of the pranis are stillborn, ji. As good as stillborn. Stillborn means जन्म लेते हैं, थोड़ा इधर उधर घूम लेते हैं, and then afterwards they're gone. Therefore, samabhyasadi vikshiptau vyavaharaha samadhaye. There is vyavahara done. Evam vilokya niyamam, is niyam ko dekh ke, evam in this manner, vilokya having seen, niyamam this niyati ko dekha, Ashtavakraji says, evameva aham astitaha. I stand myself. I remain myself. I recognize my nature, which doesn't change. I don't do anything. I recognize the being that I am. Recognizing what is not doing. Recognizing what is not doing. When the space recognizes, I am the space in which everything is non-separate from me. That's not another doing. It's not a motion. Waking up from the dream is not a part of the dream. It's a negation of the dream. Even if you bracket with the dream, it doesn't mean it is also dreamt. It's not a part of dream. If waking up from the dream also is a part of the dream, then it creates anavastha. Therefore, evam vilokya niyamam. Niyamam means is niyati ko dekhkar. Evameva aham astitaha. I recognize the eternal. In practicing mental concentrations, I lose them also. I practice mental composure, I lose it. I practice self-control, I lose it. And to get it back again, I have to practice. The gain and loss is a cycle. I lose, I gain again I lose, again I gain. In this life, I gain and lose and gain and lose. And a couple of times it happens. I gain, I lose, I gain, I lose. A couple of times it happens. And by the time I am old, I die. And in next life, what am I doing? Again I gain, I lose, I gain, I lose, I gain, I lose. Life itself means gain and loss. You have children, you have the pleasure of them for some time. And after some time, once they become teenagers, then we become anxious. मेरा बच्चों को क्या होगा? जितना आपने सुख लिया उतना एंग्जाइटी तो आएगा ही आएगा. थोड़ा बहुत 19-20 फर्क होगा, लेकिन आता है. This problem, this is a very important niyati ji. As students of Vedanta, you need to understand this. It is important. All pleasures are followed by pains. All achievements are followed by losses. All victories are followed by defeats. Sukha dukkhe, same kritva, labha labhau, jaya jayau. Understand, sukha dukkha are equal in life. Need not be the same measure, but there are sukhas and there are dukkhas. There are gains, there are losses. But what I am saying is, whatever you gain will be lost one day. And any sukham shall be lost. इस नियति को देख के I don't do any spiritual practices. I only do spiritual reflection. What is a spiritual reflection? Looking at my existence as I am. Because there is only one thing which doesn't change, that is the being. Thinking changes. Practices change. The results of thinkings change. The results of doing changes. The doings change. The results change. The thinking changes. The results change. Change is really the very matrix of thinking and doing, etc. And change is not conclusive. It goes on and on and on and on. Change is not conclusive, please. Not that change continues and then it becomes free. It gets negated. Aisa nahi. Change is endless. Cycle is endless until it is broken in the light of the truth. Change is endless. It becomes concluded only when I see the changeless. Cycles are endless until I see the truth which is free from cycles. And therefore, I don't undertake spiritual practices, etc. Therefore, if you still love the word practice, I say, all right, do the practice of look at your existence. If it doesn't interest you, then take interest in it. That means you don't know how to look at your existence. To be. Like just try to be quiet. Why should it not interest you? Even if you go for shopping, you just want to be quiet. All that you do is just to want to be quiet. And that quietude, you don't have to achieve it through this object or that object, this pleasure or that pleasure. That quietude is your nature. To see that, tranquility is your nature, is being. To be. Like stillness is peace. It is not stillness brought about, it is to be. Unlimitedness is peace. Okay, ji. Evam vilokya niyamam evameva ahamasthitah. And therefore, I don't undertake spiritual practices, religious practices, etc. Those for whom they are interesting, let them do it. If it interests you, all right, do it. But these things don't interest me. Not only they don't interest me, I see them as shells. They are not the answer. And therefore, if no object is the answer, and yet if there is answer, it has to be the subject. If no object is the answer, and still if there is answer, then it has to be subject. And the subject cannot do, is not a karta. Subject is. Thought is entertained, but the conscious being is. Okay, ji. Self-reflection is not kartritvam, is not doing. Seeing the difference between the subject and the form, that seeing is not doing. Seeing the difference between the two is not doing. Seeing is not doing. Viveka is not doing. It's not kartritvam. You may say he is doing viveka and all that, but it is not actually literally kartritvam. Kartritvam means, I have told you, to create what is not there, to modify something is doing, to cleanse something is doing, to reach something is doing. You are doing none of this. You are only seeing the distinction in a confusion. This is the subject, this is the object. In seeing the distinction, there is no kartrutva. This is akarta. Thought is entertained, but the source is ever present. My existence is ever present. Therefore, Atma Anatma Viveka is not a part of kartritva. Atma Anatma Viveka presupposes the Atma Anatma Aviveka. Bas itna hi hai. But Atma Anatma Viveka cannot be defined as kartritvam. It corrects the kartritva. Okay, ji, the next verse. Let us do. Heyopadeya virahadevam harsha vishadayoho abhavad adyahe brahman evamevahamastitam. I don't have heya. I have nothing to heya. Heya means to be eschewed. There is nothing to be eschewed. Nobody has anything to be eschewed. I mean, fundamentally speaking. There is nothing to be eschewed. Because if you eschew something and again you will pick it up and chew it. Isn't it, ji? You throw something and you will again pick it up. There is nothing great about it. What is achieved can be lost, and what is lost also can be achieved. It is available. Ashtavakraji says, I don't consider that living beings have got something heya, to be renounced. Upadeya, they have nothing to gain, they have nothing to lose. Heya means something. I have nothing to be renounced. Upadeya, I have nothing to be achieved. Virahad, being free. I am free from having something to be eschewed, something to be cultivated. I don't have to renounce something or cultivate something. I don't have to renounce something or achieve something. I don't have to renounce something or create something. I am not in need of creating something, reach something, modify something, clean something. I don't have any need. In fact, nobody has any need. Because if that is so for Ashtavakra, it is so with everybody. In fact, Nobody has any need to create, etc., etc. Everybody has a need to look at himself, the truth. Harsha Vishadayoho Heya Upadeya Virahat. Evam, in the same manner, I have no harsha to gain. I have no vishada to get rid of. I have no joy to gain. I have no sadness to get rid of. I have no harsha vishadayoho virahat. Heya upadeya virahat. Evam, similarly, harsha vishadayoho virahat. Abhavat. Harsha vishadayoho abhavat. Because I have no harsha to achieve, I have no vishada to get rid of. If a person has vishada, he is not in need of getting rid of the vishada. He is in need of knowing his truth. And when he understands his identity correctly, vishada will go. It is not that he is in need of getting rid of the vishada. When there is a pleasure, he is in need of knowing the truth. When he has pain, he is in need of knowing the truth. Throughout every second of his avidya avastha, at every second he is in need of knowing the truth. At every second of his illiteracy, he is in need of literacy. Bas itna hi hai. Even though it looks as though I am in need of this and that, but all those needs are connected to survival. In fact, my survival itself is a need. Even the need to survive is not the need to survive. We don't have even the need to survive. We have the need to know the truth. The need is to know the truth, for which you may have to survive. That is a majburi. But the need is to know the truth. The need is not to survive and die. That's not. The need is to know the truth. Heya upadeya virahat. Evam harsha vishadayoho abhavat. Adya, today also, even to date, He Brahman, O ye Brahmana, O ye Vidyarthi, O ye wise boy. Brahman means here Brahmachari. O ye Brahmachari is addressing. O ye Brahman, he is addressing the whole society as O ye Brahman. Evameva ahamastita. I remain myself. I have nothing to gain. I don't make any effort to achieve. I don't make any effort to get rid of. I only make an effort to figure out. Figuring out is not something achieving the distant. As I am, everything is one being. Like the wave figures out the entire ocean to be itself. Or the ocean figures out itself to be the ocean. Let us think first, the ocean thinks I am a wave. Let us think, the ocean thinks I am. Or the sun thinks I am lost, I am caught in a bubble. The sun reflects in a bubble. And the sun looks at its own reflection and thinks I am caught in a bubble. And it suffers, my God, I am so non-eternal, because the bubble is so non. When the bubble breaks, I am also gone. So the sun has a problem of treating itself as caught in a bubble. And that sun has nothing to achieve, nothing to get rid of. It has to figure out, I am not caught in the bubble. I am not caught in the body. I am not caught in the bubble. In this manner, the sun has to figure out. Figuring out is called education. Figuring out in the midst of confusion, the distinction between, seeing the distinction between the subject and the object. And therefore here he says, Yayomeva aham astita, I remain myself because I have no heya to get rid of. I have no upadeya to achieve. I have no harsha to achieve. I have no vishada to achieve. Hey Brahman, that's why I remain myself. Means my interest is only myself, not harsha, not vishada. To gain harsha is not my interest. To get rid of a given vishada is not my interest. To get rid of one heya is not my interest. Not to get rid of any heya. You shift your attention to your being, the rest is taken care of. Because it's not easy for the jiva to bring his attention back to himself. Because he is naturally interested only in remembering the objects. His love for the objects, his love for the pleasures, his love for enjoyment. He remembers the pleasures. He remembers the taste of rasgulla. He remembers the taste of this, taste of that, and he craves for. And then really, if he recites a shloka, he doesn't remember as much as he remembers the pleasures, you see. He has got a sharp memory about his pleasures. Oh, that rasgulla is very tasty. That sandesha is very tasty. In this manner, man has a sharp memory about his pleasures. And the memory of the pleasures creates cravings. I must have that, I must have this. How are you going to handle these cravings? And how many of them can you handle? Even if you control your taste for how long, ji? Thodi din ke liye. How long can you go on taking a moong chilka, pani and roti? You can't. Then you say, chodo. Lemon rice banao, tamarind rice banao, otto kolambo le aao. सब आ जाएंगे, एक एक आ जाएंगे. Therefore, you can't control your taste for too long. You will break out into the realm of tastes, touches, smells, pleasures. Tapasya is not easy. Therefore, don't bank on great tapasya for peace. Bank on looking at yourself. Cognize your existence. Take cognizance of your existence as a conscious presence. You are not a doer, you are a silent being. You are a silent being. Thinking is tumultuous, thoughts are like a storm. But all the storms presuppose silent presence of your being. Your thoughts are stormy. Your feelings are stormy. Your meditations are stormy. Your memories are stormy. Cravings are stormy. But in order to do all of it, you have to be present. That presence of yourself is not stormy. It is silent. Silent. Thus, self-reflection is much better than looking at yourself. Self-reflection, I mean only looking at your presence, bas. Is much better than all austerities, yogas, tapasyas, self-controls, virtues, this entire mess. Shift your attention from the mess to the light that you are. But do you mean to say, Swamiji, we are not supposed to do any tapasya, etc.? This is, what can be greater tapasya than looking at yourself? Clear? That's time, ji. We'll continue it later. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, ji.